In this video, I'm going to illustrate the importance of using activity-based costing. For this purpose, assume that a company makes two products, A and B, and that for a particular period the company makes 15,000 units of A and 7,500 units of B. That's reflected right here. 15,000 and 7,500 and 15,000 and 7,500, which I will discuss in a little bit. The company is considering two approaches. The first one is the application of overhead using one plant-wide overhead rate or one cost driver overall, which you learned earlier. And then the second consideration is activity-based costing, in which you use more than one cost driver or predetermined overhead rate. For this purpose, we are going to assume that this is the information given by the company, where direct labor hours in total are as follows, and this is the cost driver that we would use under option A. And then these three cost drivers are the ones we would use under option B, which is basically machine hours, number of setups, and pounds of materials. And the idea is that under option A, we are not necessarily considering the major activities of the company. We're just treating everything as if the manufacturing process were the same. Whereas under activity-based costing, we take a deeper look and identify significant activities that we do in the manufacturing process and come up with different rates in different activities, given that the products that we make consume overhead at different rates in different areas. And this can have an important implication for costing purposes, as we will see in a minute. Also assume that the costs related to utilities, setups, and material handling are as follows, and that the corresponding cost drivers for those are these three respectively, and that the overall overhead that we are allocating is $2.4 million. If we come up with predetermined overhead rates for the utilities, basically we're taking the estimated overhead divided by the total machine hours, and that gives us $10. And the same for setups, 193,000 divided by 1290 gives us 150, and 1,419,000 divided by 330 pounds gives us 430. So basically what we're saying is, for every, in the utilities department, for every machine hour that a product it consumes, it will be allocated $10 of overhead, and so on. For the plant-wide overhead rate, we're allocating the whole amount. We say, okay, take 2.4 million and divide it by the total direct labor hours to come up with this rate. And I've color-coded this so that you can see that anything related to yellow belongs to the plant-wide overhead rate, and anything with green belongs to the activity-based costing. Given is the information on direct materials and direct labor, and that remains the same, so just take it as it is. But the key is to estimate overhead. So for product A, for the manufacture of 15,000 units, we find that the consumption was 30,000 direct labor hours. Because of that, we're going to go and apply overhead at 30,000 times the rate, and as you recall, the rate was $35 per direct labor hour. So that gives us an allocation of $1,050,000. And similarly, we do that for activity B using 37,500 times the rate. I summed the two up just to make sure that I'm allocating the 2.4 million, which corresponds right here as a check. When I do that, I get a total cost of 1.6 million for A, and if we divide it by the 15,000 units that I made, I get a cost of 109. When I use activity-based costing, I'm using three rates. So for product A, I have to allocate not only machine hours but also setups and pounds of material. So when I do that, for A we have 52,500 machine hours at $10, 430 setups at 150, and 139,500 at 4.3. So overall, I get a total cost of 1.8 million divided by 15,000 units, and I get a cost of 118 per unit.